ご覧のスポンサーの提供でお送りします。
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back. It is yours truly, the one and only Moba expert extraordinaire Sugi here, making the debut video of the year 2019. And we're going to be talking about this newly surfaced sports MOBA game called Steel Circus, which is currently on alpha. The very first alpha test was yesterday. I was one of the lucky people who got a key, and I got to try out the game, and here I'm going to be sharing my thoughts about it. And the sports MOBA genre is really a niche inside a niche, you know? And there has been 2 games in the genre in the past, which I've talked about. Arena Combat Evolution called Ace, which was like a football game with kind of like MOBA characters which had like a 1 ability or something. It was a very simplistic football game with like a bit of a more depth into it, so to speak. But it wasn't like a very amazing or interesting game altogether. I think the gameplay was smooth as I recall it. And then was the Amazon Studios game called Breakaway, which was this sort of a basketball game of sorts where you had also different types of characters. You could like build down defenses and stuff like that. That was way too unsmooth and unclunky game. It kind of lacked this sort of a sports type of a feel to it. It felt way too clunky, and the way that the like characters would move is very unsmooth. You couldn't like juke around, which was some, you couldn't dribble and stuff like that. That was lacking from the game, and they pulled that game out, and I think it's in development or something right now. So it hasn't been the most successful genre. And now we have Steel Circus, which is probably the most MOBA-like of the 3. It's essentially like basketball with like football goals, where essentially you're able to pass a ball or you're able to throw it, and all the characters have 2 abilities. Right now there are 4 characters in the game, but I think in total there's 5. One of them was unavailable to play. And the map is also interesting because you have like these 3 tower things where essentially the ball can bounce, and this prevents people just shooting straight up to the, you know, from one end of the map to the actual goal. And this kind of gives a bit of complexity because the ball can bounce from these things, and it can also bounce from the balls. You can also kill the other player, which makes them to essentially respawn. You have like 15-second death time or something, and this allows you to play 3 versus 2, which gives you advantage to make plays and zone out players, which is nice. And I don't actually think that the game is too bad, but the test servers were in America based on my ping, which was like 150. So it didn't feel like the most smooth experience. I also had a bit of a problem with the map and the characters. I felt like everything looked too small to me, and what I mean by that is that maybe the zooming in the game is maybe too large. That I would have like a better idea if I like the more zoomed vision, but then this would be a problem for the game itself. I don't think that this is actually in very good sync right now, and that's something that they need to fix. There was definitely some clunkiness inside the game that could have been due to the ping, but you have to be feeling kind of in control of the characters. So I don't know if that because of the ping. I have to wait for the European servers to turn out until like I have a definite say of the smoothness of the game. The graphics seem decent. There's not a lot of options inside the game to edit things. You can play with mouse and keyboard, but the game is designed for controllers. I think the controls were pretty nice. There's a lot more complexity if we compare it to Ace, because there's sprinting ability. There's 2 abilities inherent to all of the characters. Then you're able to pass the ball and kick the ball, or not really kick, but you know, there's a lot of like interesting things and jukes that you can do because these abilities are quite interesting. So it has a really like a real MOBA feel. Instead of just farming creeps, essentially your job is just like, okay, throw the ball on the base and you win. It seems pretty fast-paced too. The games, I think, last like 10 minutes or something, which is good pacing, because there is the audience who don't want to play 50 minutes per game. Right now, there seems to be only 1 map. I'm not sure if they're going to be planning to make more of them. There wasn't like any frame drops or anything like that, but I think there's definitely some tweaks that can be done on the game to make it feel more smoother. And you know, as I said, the ping was an issue for me. And also, I did forget to mention, you can also tackle inside the game, which will like essentially steal the ball. So there is element of complexity inside the game, which will keep it refreshing. And also, if they keep adding new characters inside it, it will be somewhat, it could be the next Rocket League. The thing that made Rocket League very fun was inherently the physics engine, and it wasn't like something that, I mean, there's a skill ceiling in that game too, but it was also something that casuals could play and enjoy. I'm not gonna say that this game is like particularly super difficult, but there is some skill involved in making goals if your opponents are good. I mean, the game that I played, we were stomping pretty hard. And there's like emojis that you can also spam. I can see that the monetization model includes like skins and stuff like that. And that's not necessarily the best model to go with. I mean, technically we are not sure will it be free to play even. They could like ask like a $5 price or something, and that would be definitely fine. But as I said, it is a niche game. And this means that it's something like really hard to find players on a game that is inside. Like MOBA games are already like having really hard time to establish themselves, and having a niche inside a niche which is like catering to a very small base will be very hard, because I don't think it's having that same physique and fun aspects as like something like Rocket League has. It could maybe get there in some aspect, but I don't think that's gonna happen. It's gonna be probably more competitive play. And also, like, it can be a fun game to play with friends and stuff like that. So it's gonna be interesting where the game will go. I will keep more closer eye on it. I will be doing a full review once the game releases on Steam. And I don't know if there's gonna be plans for console release. Crossplay would be a very good thing to keep the player base being actually decent, so that could work. But yeah, I don't have much else to add about the game. I think the music was not really that interesting. The designs of the characters, some of them were kind of unique, kind of cool. The abilities are kind of what matter most, and there's some, you know, creativity there involved. And we will see how Steel Circus will turn out as the development goes further. And, you know, keep eye on it. And you can, I think you can sign up on Alpha on their website in case you're interested. But until next time, I see you soon. Cheers.